listener production.
Welcome to Take a Hike podcast, a podcast that's going to be taking you through North Queensland's best parks and trails. Guiding us through the podcast today from the Townsville Bushwalking Club is Cherry Judge, Lewin Warnicky, and I'm Blair Woodcock. Another huge episode of Take a Hike today, and a very special guest coming up this morning as well.
Yeah, we have Mitch Nissan here, and he is an avid adventure racer. He's done multi-disciplines. He's swimming, kayaking, hiking, running, mountain biking, and he's going to talk about the world's toughest race, the Godzone.
It's insane. I cannot wait to hear about that one. We'll get into that really shortly. But again, another, I guess you could loop it right back to me because I'm pretty much like that. But another selfish question is I'm getting ready for this big adventure coming up. And at the moment, pack liners are running through my mind.
Yeah.
Everyone says you need them, but I use small packing bags as opposed to a pack liner. Actually, before we get into it, pack liners, right, are the bag that sits inside your backpack, right?
Yeah, and they keep everything dry, right?
Yeah.
So if you fall into a river or whatever, you don't wet all your sleeping gear. So there's many approaches to this. You can do the individual cube packing that you do.
Yep.
With the individual dry bags, you might have your clothes dry bag, you might have your sleeping bag dry bag. The alternative approach is to have a pack liner. Now, some bags are fully waterproof themselves, but with a pack liner, you can just throw that inside, or a garbage bag some people use, and then you put everything else inside and it's just one dry bag. Downside is some bags zip at the bottom, so you can easily access your sleeping gear or your food or whatever heavy stuff you put in the bottom. With a pack liner, you can't do that.
But then, like for me, if I'm individually packing, you don't need a pack liner. As you're talking as well, I don't need a raincoat cover on my backpack as well.
No, I never use a rain. I think that's a waste to be for me.
I used to when I started, but damn advertising, I think. They always have it right beside the pack. You think you need it, you don't.
Yeah. For canyoning or whitewater paddling, like you're not going to have a bag on for whitewater paddling, but for canyoning you are. And so water seeps in through these dry bags if they're submerged. So if you're swimming, I like to triple dry bag. So I have my electronics and all that in one dry bag. That's inside of a dry bag with all my sleeping gear. That's inside of a pack liner. Otherwise, water just gets in. And
I mean, you spent a lot of time around water too, whereas I spent a lot of time avoiding water.
Yeah, true. I'm always got my wet boots on. Even when I lead these bushwalking club hikes, I'm always walking through the creek.
Really?
Yeah.
Aren't you leading one that I'm going on soon?
Oh, there's no creeks there, so don't worry about that one. But the older generation, they avoided having their feet wet for so long. Yeah. And I come along and lead a walk and walking straight through the water, swimming, wading.
So I know you're not a fan of garbage bags being pack liners.
No.
Because I guess they're not, they're probably not reusable. They're very
most people don't.
Thin. But my bane of contention with pack liners or dry bags are the ones with the see-through patch on them. Thoughts?
I don't have any see-through patch dry bags. Why don't you like them?
You pack in your own bag. You know what's in them.
You do know what's in them.
My red
Some
bag,
people forget, eh?
My red bag's the electronics and small things. The blue bag's for clothes. The yellow bag's for food. I know that. I don't need to see what's in them.
No, I don't either. My favourite ones are the event ones that have just come out a few years back from Cedar Summit. They have the standard material, but on the bottom where they sew that other mesh in, it's a separate mesh that is like a one-way valve, so you can squeeze all the air out, but it doesn't let the air back in.
Like the sleeping bag compression.
Those are the event ones, but you can also buy just normal event.
Interesting.
I believe.
There you go. So many discussions, so many. All right. One of our guests today is former Cairns guy, so please don't hold that against him. Moved down south to Townsville probably about 12 months ago, has travelled extensively around Australia throughout the world. Mitch Nissan, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Blair. Good to be here.
Just briefly talking to you before we hit record earlier on, you've obviously got a whole heap of experience in a whole range of different sports and crazy sports as well. But let's go back. How did you get into it? What was the first thing you did?
Oh, like growing up, I'd say my dad and mum got me outdoors a lot. I had a good balance of sport in the pool, sort of mainstream sports, and then getting out off bush with dad.
Yeah. And that was all based in around far North Queensland?
Yeah, mostly around F&Q, and I had a couple of years in New Zealand when I was very young.
Yeah.
So a little bit of that influence from the Kiwis. But yeah, mostly North Queensland, waterways, and just we lived in Lake Placid, which is right on the Barron River.
Nice.
And it's got access up and towards Coranda into the mountains there.
Beautiful. So what was the first big thing you did? What was the first adventure that you actually fully remember and love?
Oh, I'd say there were quite a few trips up Cape York that I remember vividly. So we did a lot of bow hunting up there, and that took us off trail and got me to start learning how to navigate, probably without really knowing what it was at the time, just sort of dad throwing me in the deep end. That was the first ones, running around the sand dunes on some pretty remote beaches up there. Yeah.
That's crazy. So not only getting lost, but also a risk of crocodile as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Just
Yeah,
to
we
throw
saw
it
some
in.
big lizards up there.
What's the craziest situation you've got yourself in?
I'd say at night in the middle of Godzone is when you start questioning where you are and your ability and what you're going to do and just how to keep moving.
All right, let's take it back a step. This Godzone, this is an adventure race over in New Zealand, correct?
Yeah, it was in Te Aroa,
Yep.
so in the South Fiordland.
Crazy land then, right? And when did this happen? When was this on?
So this was end of February this year. They do describe it as some races looking like a training run compared to Godzone. And being out there, I can see why they say that. And there's quite a high dropout rate.
So talk us through the actual whole event.
It's quite a slow build up, and there's a lot of planning and not really sure exactly what gear you need. So for months out, you're constantly fretting about, do we need this gear, and how much are we willing to spend to be absolutely prepared for it. And then it gets to 5 hours before the race, and you're just rushing through gear checks. You get the map 3 hours before the race start, and you've got to either plan your whole route for the next 6 to 8.5 days, which is quite fast, and that time slips away. Yeah, and it's easy to get overwhelmed at that point.
Teams?
Yeah, a team of 4, so teamwork's a massive part of it. And we had a incredible support crew for this race.
So over the 10 days, what are you doing? Is it just trekking and hiking up and down, or is it different?
The Godzone race is renowned for having a lot of trekking, a lot of elevation and pack rafting. Then there's also the traditional legs of the mountain biking and kayaking. So the majority of the race is trekking. If you look at the time split, you're mostly on your feet or pack rafting. Yeah.
So an adventure race has 3 or 4 main areas. So any adventure race, you're navigating without GPS. So you have to have a map and compass and know your way around. But you also have trekking, running, paddling of some kind, right? Water sport. And then you got your mountain biking legs. Is that what an adventure race is?
Yeah. I mean, if you simplified it, it would just be paddle on foot and bike disciplines.
And the difference between, like, you would say a multi-sport race like ZacMac or something like that, that's no navigation, right? Is that the only difference?
Yeah, correct. That's really it.
Yeah, okay.
What about the crazy element about having to go nonstop for 8 to 10 days?
Oh, yeah, it's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say once you get beyond the sort of 24 and 48 hour mark, you'd start calling it like an expedition race.
Yep.
Yeah, and the shorter ones, either it's like a sprint adventure race or even like a 4-hour race can be an adventure race. Quite a loose definition.
Yeah, okay. But they also say the Godzone's like the hardest race adventure race in the world. That's what I've heard anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely got that reputation. Yeah, there's certainly a lot of other very difficult expedition races. Godzone race seems to have just quite a high dropout rate. I think this year we had around 50% of teams not finishing in the pure, and the pursuit I think might have even been a bit more than that. And that's quite simply due to the terrain, I'd say. The amount of elevation you do is quite crushing on your joints.
Can I ask, in terms of the altitude, 2 questions. Highest altitude you hit on the trail, as well as complete altitude gain over the whole race event?
The highest, struggle to remember, I want to say it was around the 2,000 mark.
Cool.
Not massive heights. We were out there for 6.5 days and we did 12,000 metres elevation.
12,000 metres.
12,000. So about 2,000 a day. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And the distance horizontally?
This one was about 550,
Wow.
500. Yeah. There are longer races. Because you do a lot of trekking in Godzone, the distances aren't always as big as other races, but the sort of time and elevation usually makes up for that.
And how did your team fare? Did your team make it through?
Yeah, we were quite happy to finish on our first attempt. So we're around mid-pack for the starting teams. So about 23rd out of, say, 55 starting teams in the pure course, the long course. But behind us weren't many other teams that finished.
So what you're telling me is we brewed them tough up here.
We do, yeah. North Queensland certainly got some top adventure races.
And I was watching your pin on the map, and like since you guys have a paddling background, your whole team does, you kind of overtook everybody on the paddle leg, and you coming up first, second, third around there, weren't you?
We were probably our biggest positive takeaway from the race was our paddling was definitely up to scratch. Yeah, I think on the first leg we had a mechanical on the bike. And we'd gone from, say, sitting like 20th on the start line to being just about last behind almost 100 teams. And then we jumped on the paddle leg, and I think there'd been a bit of a traffic jam, which slowed a few teams down getting off the paddle. And we were still sitting quite far back. And by the end of the paddle, we were back in 5th place without even really knowing.
Nice.
We did spend a bit of energy doing that. But yeah, I think with our paddling experience, it wasn't a massive drain.
And it's quite often to make mistakes when you're sleep deprived. Did you make many mistakes with Nav over the course?
Yeah, we definitely did. There was one significant moment where I'd say we lost about 4 hours on a mistake, and it's partly due to fatigue. And if it was in the day, you wouldn't have made the mistake, and you would have moved a lot quicker through the area that we were in.
So was that nighttime?
Yeah, it was nighttime. It was about 1 a.m. that we sort of hit this checkpoint, and all we had to do was walk back the way we came, but it was descending off about 1,000 meters of elevation, and we just didn't take the best line and ended up sort of going through a few gullies we didn't need to. Didn't do a lot more distance than we should have, but we just ended up in slow terrain, and lost probably 4 or 5 hours there and ended up sleeping there and getting up in the morning and getting ourselves out.
When you say sleep, though, like you're talking an hour, aren't you?
We were trying to get a decent sleep when we did sleep, so at least 2 hours. I think this one was about 3, but they're broken sleeps. They're not comfortable.
Yeah, and you're not like setting up tent. You're not putting your sleeping bag down. You're just finding a rock and laying down on that or something, or whatever, just laying down on the ground.
Yeah, this one we were descending off quite a steep terrain, and we were in a bit of a gully, and we just got to the flattest point we could find, which was basically a big tree that had formed, something of a retaining wall against the steep gradient, and we slept there. Yeah.
That's crazy. Will you and would you do it again?
Yeah, we've said we'll do it again. Either next year or the one after, I'd say.
Would you train differently?
I think I had the right sort of balance. It'd be nice to do more together as a team. It is difficult when, we're not all in the same location. But doing, the specific sort of trek and parkrafт training as a team would be great.
More with Mitch Nissan coming up next week when we hear more about his local adventures, the places he loves to get out to around North Queensland, as well as that, how you can take part in one of Mitch's own adventure races up here at Lake Tinaroo, the Grin and Bear It race. More about that next week on Take a Hike. Until then, if you are hitting the trails this weekend, stay safe outside, have a lot of fun, and we'll catch you next time.